Hello, I'm up here Toycat, and by now everyone knows that the 1.16 update includes a brand new tier of gear called Netherite, and everyone knows that you get it by mining ancient debris, a very rare ore found in the wild in the Nether, taking it into a furnace so that you get some Netherite scrap from it, taking that Netherite scrap and combining it 4 to 4 with gold, just like so that you get a Netherite ingot, and then taking that Netherite ingot and upgrading your diamond tools. Everyone knows both of these things, and everyone knows that Netherite exists. The question is though, is it worth upgrading your diamond tools into Netherite? And the answer is yes. Thank you for watching this video, rate it 5 stars, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye. Okay, so everyone knows that Netherite is better than Diamond, but the reason there's a debate here is because unlike every other tier that's existed before it, Netherite actually can only be found in one way, and that one way is a little bit of hard work. You need to mine until you find ancient debris, which gives you 1/4 of a Netherite ingot, and then that Netherite ingot will upgrade any piece of, weaponry like we've done before. We can take our diamond helmet, we can turn it into a Netherite helmet, but then it takes us 4 bits of ancient debris to get, and right now that is the only consistent, reliable way to upgrade your tools. And because even using the fastest methods, the testing that we've done shows that it takes on average about 12 minutes to get a single Netherite ingot, is it worth 12 minutes to upgrade each of these pieces of gear? Given that right now there's no easy way to make it take 0 effort to upgrade, we'll talk about each of the tools in turn and what the benefits of upgrading are, so you can decide whether each tool should be upgraded and in which order you should do so, because a lot of people are going to want to upgrade their entire sets of stuff, because of course you can do so even with all of the enchantments on there. So let's take one of the easiest examples here. Let's start with the easiest example to pick, because the pickaxes are a really interesting one, because Netherite versus Diamond is a simple upgrade in terms of durability. You get 30% more durability, and you also get a 10% increase on mining speed to most blocks. This is slightly less on blocks that are mined faster, and it's actually 0 on blocks that are instantly mined, because there is a really interesting mechanic in Minecraft that you can instantly mine a lot of blocks once you get efficiency on certain tools. So the most obvious one that everyone knows is once you have a gold pickaxe or just an enchanted diamond pickaxe, you can instantly mine Netherrack, which means it happens as fast as you can touch the blocks with your little thing. This means if you do a little spiral technique like this, you can mine Netherrack absurdly fast. And the question about how much faster is the Netherite pickaxe in this situation, and that amount of time is of course 0, because there is no time taken to mine each individual block, which means regardless which pickaxe we use right here, you can see how we have the exact same effect on instant mining, because yeah, it takes 0 seconds to mine per block, and therefore the Netherite pickaxe on instant mine blocks really is that 30% durability bonus and nothing else. So yeah, which is it worth upgrading the pickaxe? I would say only worth doing so for the sake of, like, well, if it's not enchanted, you can find more Netherite quicker, and also, I mean, pickaxes are quite valuable for a lot of people, so maybe having that extra durability in the bar is something you value. But otherwise, this entire debate comes down to, are you going to be mining one of the blocks on this list that actually does get the slight increase, or are you going to be mining blocks that are instant? And if it's one of the blocks that's instant, it's a 30% durability bonus, which is nice, but bear in mind, you can farm diamond pickaxes, but you can't farm Netherite ingots just yet, and you can't farm enchanted Netherite pickaxes, so that is one of the key considerations. That's why it's worth thinking about and not worth setting yourself on fire over. Speaking of fire, by the way, something I won't be mentioning because every piece of Netherite gear has this as common, is the fact that it will survive fire and lava, unlike diamond tools. So throw a diamond tool into fire or die in a piece of fire, and the diamond is gone forever. Throw a piece of Netherite into there, and as you're going to see, it's going to survive just fine, and you can pick it back up, even with lava, with any form of fire. The only thing that stops it is the despawn rate. Also, the bouncing is fun. I mean, who doesn't love a good bit of Netherite pants bouncing? Just me? Okay. Okay, there we go, internet. Look at all the hopping Netherite. Oh, yeah. This is great. Let's move on to the next one here. So the tool that makes the least logical sense to upgrade on paper at least is the shovel, but let's dig into this one and let's see if that really is true, huh? Because the diamond shovel can be upgraded into a Netherite shovel, and if you do so, you get the same 30% durability boost, which is really nice, of course. Who doesn't want a 30% boost to the length of time they can use their shovel? But otherwise, the bonus for using diamond over Netherite is actually pretty slim, because although there's a 33% faster mining speed for grass, gravel, clay, and farmland blocks, as well as dirt path blocks, it's worth mentioning. But although there's a bonus for those 5 specific blocks that's really nice, it's 0.05 seconds, but it's 33%. The reality is every single other block that you can mine with a shovel, primarily, is not faster mined with the Netherite shovel over the diamond shovel. This means that the exact same mining speeds for soul sand, something you might want a lot of in this update, will come regardless of how enchanted or how shovel is, between Netherite and diamond. The only bonus is the 30% durability increase, and given that every single piece of Netherite gear gets a durability increase, it's not the same for each of them, but given that they all get a durability increase, this makes it the least worthwhile of the tools to upgrade because every single diamond shovel has a value of 1 diamond. I mean, most people don't craft their own shovels, they trade for them or they find them, but like, if you are crafting a shovel, it has a value of 1 diamond, whereas a value of a, say, pickaxe is 3 diamonds. So given that it takes a single Netherite ingot to upgrade both, again, this is different for Netherite compared to every other tier, it therefore doesn't make sense to upgrade this if you're just thinking on durability levels, unless you've upgraded every other tool already and it's just like excess Netherite to you, or if you just really want to mine some gravel, some, again, grass but not dirt, or some dirt path blocks, or some farmland. If you want to mine those specific blocks, then go ahead, get a Netherite shovel because it is slightly faster and those faster times will make a difference, although 0.05 seconds only makes a difference on the base levels. At some point, when you get to instant mining, they all make no difference again. So even for those 5 blocks, depends on the enchantments is the answer, and otherwise this should be the last thing you consider upgrading because of all of the diamond tools, it's the one that takes the least diamonds to craft and therefore should be the bottom of your list for upgrading with Netherite. So how about we talk about the fact that I said the shovel was the least worth upgrading, despite the fact that yes, a Netherite hoe is a real thing that exists. How could I recommend this over the shovel? Well, bear in mind that if you're using the hoe just to till some dirt, then yeah, the 30% durability bonus is going to be the same between the shovel and the the hoe. And bear in mind that yeah, technically speaking, in this update they have made the hoe able to break blocks, but it's got the same thing as the shovel, where the vast majority of blocks that you can break, say hay bales, as you can see, here's me breaking it with diamond, here's me breaking it with Netherite shovel, Netherite hoe I should say. They're exactly the same for pretty much every block besides sponges, where there is a 33% increase, which is real nice. But yeah, long story short, the hoe break speeds is the same for the the same between diamond and Netherite. I hope they do improve that in the future so that you have a reason to want to get a Netherite hoe, but right now that's not the major point in this. But it is worth mentioning that unlike every other tool where you can find them enchanted in the world, you can't find enchanted hoes in the wild, because Minecraft hasn't had enchanted hoes until this update, so of course you can't find them in the world, you can't farm these things, which means if you're going to be enchanting tools, it's actually worth upgrading them to Netherite tier just to upgrade them, which sounds dumb on the surface, like wait, so I'm gonna have enchanted hoes, why bother upgrading them to Netherite? First of all, the 30% durability bonus makes more sense when it's upgraded, but the key thing is the fact that Netherite is more enchantable than, diamond is. So here are 4 diamond hoes that we've enchanted at level 30. Here are 4 Netherite hoes we've enchanted at level 30. Look at the better quality of enchantments we're getting on that, and just to show this exact same thing again, here we have some more hoes of us. Here is, let's throw on the lapis. Here is our first hoe, Silk Touch, that's nice. Here's our second one, Unbreaking, Silk Touch, and Efficiency, and here's our third, Efficiency 4. Actually, that's a pretty bad batch, but even then, if we compare this to our diamond hoes, just for comparison, you know, actually, I'll leave this in here, but it just turns out on this particular batch, we got a significantly better diamond batch than before, but Netherite, as a general rule of thumb, is more enchantable than diamond, and again, this is true for every piece of weaponry, but it's most true for the hoe, because again, you need to enchant your hoes yourself, and therefore it might be worth upgrading the diamond hoe to Netherite before enchanting it, whereas everything else you have is going to be enchanted already and then upgraded into Netherite. This is going to be a weird exception to that, and therefore the enchantability makes more sense right here. However, again, if you're enchanting other things afterwards as well, then keep this in mind as a bonus for that, because the enchantability has increased. So if you were to ask me what is worth upgrading into Netherite tier, I would say the axe is one of the clear contenders for that list, because the axe has a 30% durability bonus, which is real nice. It has the same enchantability as before, of course, but it also has a faster break time for a lot of blocks, because the breaking block time is 15% faster for most blocks when using a Netherite axe compared to a diamond one. This is really nice by itself, although technically speaking, the Netherite axe is beaten by a gold one, so if you wanted true speed, you would still go with that. But also bear in mind that because an axe is less frequently used than the other blocks, and because when you do use it, it takes longer per block, this means that the 30% durability bonus will last longer. Also bear in mind that an axe is worth 3 diamonds, or yeah, again, 3 of whatever tool, but 3 diamonds, which means in this case, you'll be saving more diamonds per, Netherite used, which makes it a great piece of value. Just as good value as the pickaxe, one could argue, although again, the pickaxe has its faults on the low end. I would say the axe is a solid tool to upgrade if you use an axe a lot. Again, because it is infrequently used, it means it's a great tool because of how long it will last, but if you're not using it anyway, then you won't benefit from it, and that's why you could argue the other way and say, actually, it's worth upgrading your most used tool first, even if it is a less efficient tool, and that's why the Netherite axe is a recommended thing if you ever do chopping down wood, which, again, you might want to do after this update, given the way fungi works and generates in these warp forests and crimson forests. But that's just my opinion. So there's something I've needed to get off my chest for a while now, and it is the new Netherite chest plates. So the deal with the new Netherite chest plates is, even though they sound the best on paper, again, there's 8 diamonds to make a diamond chest plate, and therefore you're effectively saving 8 diamonds per Netherite. It's a much more efficient deal on paper. The thing about armor pieces is they only give you a 12% durability bump. I don't know why it's so much less than the tools, but it is, and therefore you've got to consider that, like, if you just want durability from your armor, you're not going to get it. If you want armor protection from the armor itself, you're not going to get that, because all of the diamond armor has the exact same protection as the Netherite armor. And just to prove that, here you can see my armor bar is 100% filled, as it would be while I'm using diamonds, and as it has been while using diamonds. And yeah, this means that the Netherite armor doesn't give you more protection by default. What it gives you is more knockback resistance. As you can see, it not only gives me the the armor, it also gives me something called knockback resistance. This is a super strange, hard to define thing, but if we actually do show you what the knockback is like compared to, between these two things, you can see how, like, oh yeah, once you have a full set of Netherite tools on, the amount you get knocked back is a little bit less, which is great if you don't want to be knocked off the edge of something, which is wonderful for PvP, of course. But as far as, like, will you notice this much in your normal survival game? Probably not too much, actually. Again, if I show you what it's like with no armor on, here is a zombie pigman. As you can see, that zombie pigman knocks me back about this amount. It's about double as far, which admittedly is kind of a big deal if it's already a very big knockback, because some mobs can knock you back. When someone's sprinting at you, they have a huge amount of knockback. If someone has knockback on their sword, you can kind of nerf it for them. But as far as the PvE game goes, again, not PvP, when you're talking about player versus enemies, player versus environment, it really isn't that huge of a deal in the vast majority of situations. Even a gas blast hitting at the very edge of it, which again we're going to try and simulate right here, it's still not going to be the biggest of deals, which is why, again, I can't highly recommend Netherite chest plates, despite them being super efficient, unless you want to get more durability out of your armor. But if you have mending on your armor anyway, then the extra durability won't make a difference. But yeah, the long story short is that upgrading your armor is a pants decision, and this does really apply to most bits of the armor. In terms of its actual armor protection, it's going to be exactly the same whether you have diamond or whether you have Netherite in the slot. It's just going to be the knockback resistance, which isn't hugely important to PvE players, and the durability bonus, which is only 12% anyway, isn't going to be hugely important to PvP players. So as a result, the Netherite versus diamond, as far as armor goes, it's mostly to look cool, and mostly because of the last thing here. How about we get ahead of this debate and talk about the big difference, the big thing you might like from this? Because if we just get ahead of this debate, then it's worth mentioning that, yeah, if we enchant something with, diamond, there's a low chance of us getting one of these special enchantments like Aqua Affinity on a high level, but if we enchant Netherite, then we might get that on a higher level. It's actually the same enchantment here regardless. But yeah, having that extra enchantability might really make a difference when it comes to the helmet, where there's a couple of enchantments you might want, or it might make a big difference when it comes to the boots. I mean, Depth Strider, really nice. You want Depth Strider free though, not Depth. These are exactly the same. Is that a crazy coincidence or what? Huh? Yeah, they've got the perfect same enchantments between the pairs of boots. That's either a suspicious coincidence or a bug of 1.16. But you are going to be able to get better enchantments. But right now, I'd say the chestplate is the most worth enchanting if you build them yourself. If you don't get them yourself, if you trade all your pieces of armor from a village, or you find them from loot anyway, then I'd still say the chestplate is slightly more worth enchanting. But otherwise, all pieces of armor are actually exactly the same, and that I don't recommend them very highly whatsoever, unless you want to look cool, and unless you want to burn in lava. Again, look, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to die again, and you know what's going to happen? My armor will outlive me, because, ouch, I'm in fire. By the way, a lot of people will say that you get more fire resistance from Netherite armor. Not true in the slightest, as you can see right here. But look at that. My helmet, my trousers, and my boots have outlived me. Although picking them up is a whole other issue as to like how you want to do that. That's something you have to work out for yourself, because they do bounce around, which is really fun to watch, but is really a big problem if you want to pick up your stuff. I would say a Strider is probably your best bet, but when you've just died, that's not something you can very easily do. You wait for it to come nearby the shore and then try and pick it up this way. Come on, we can do this. We can do this. Okay, so we've gone through 8 of the 9 things you can turn into Netherite, and let's attack this last one head on, shall we? Let's talk about the diamond sword versus the Netherite sword. So, first of all, you're used to hearing this by now, but it has a 30% durability increase. You can attack 30% more things with this and still have it survive. That is real nice, of course. And obviously, the big other benefit that you might guess is that it does, in fact, deal more damage than the diamond sword. A diamond sword does 7 attack damage, the Netherite sword does 8 attack damage, which is technically a 14% increase, but in reality, I think most people register 8 versus 7 much better. So yeah, it does that much better of a, job. And this sounds real great until you realize that, like, oh yeah, actually 8 damage is really good, except we already have a trident which deals 8 damage. So if you have an unenchanted version of this weapon, the Netherite sword is still worse in every way besides durability than the trident, because the trident does the same thing, but also has, of course, the throwing attack, and there's no blocking here on Bedrock. Actually, not on Java either, that's a shield thing, isn't it? So, given that that's the case, if you're going to have a non-enchanted version of something, might as well still be the trident, because they're also a lot easier to find and to farm. But if we actually directly compare the two swords, because realistically, the reason that's not a fair comparison is that you can enchant diamond swords. You can get a lot of enchantments on them. In fact, I'd say this is most people's most enchanted tool, because you need some sharpness, you need some looting, you might want some knockback, you get some fire aspect, you also get some unbreaking and some mending. That's 6 enchantments a lot of people will usually use, even if you sometimes use Bane of Arthropods or Smite instead. But 5 or 6 enchantments is a lot to throw on something, and because one of those enchantments ups the attack damage, it's by different amounts on Bedrock and Java, it means that, yeah, the actual difference in terms of percentage is actually much smaller. Let's take, for example, the diamond sword with sharpness 5 on. This does 13 attack damage here on Bedrock, and obviously when you upgrade this, which we can do, it's real nice. It's a 2-hit kill sword, but if we upgrade this using our Netherite and we make this a Netherite sword with sharpness 5 on it, then that is only going to do 1 extra piece of damage, because it's just a 1 damage increase, which is only a 7% increase in actual practice. Again, even though it's that same 1 attack damage, it means less once it's actually enchanted, and therefore we're really talking about a durability bonus that does a little bit more damage, because even then, that 7% extra damage increase, which sounds really great on the surface, isn't going to be useful for most PvE encounters. There's a few specific enemies that are killed slightly faster, so Endermen are killed in 2 critical hits instead of 3 critical hits, because 14 times 1.5 is 21 as opposed to 13 times 1.5 being 19.5 if I'm not mistaken. So there are a few real sweet spots where things will die 1 hit faster with this sword versus the diamond sword, but mostly, if you're a survival player, you actually won't notice the difference. But despite that, I'm going to say that this is one of the things I recommend upgrading most, because let's be real, even though the objective the objective numbers say you shouldn't upgrade this, the feel of having a more powerful weapon that breaks less commonly and that has a slightly bigger number attached to it is something a lot of people will appreciate. Add that to the fact that some people might have some PvP situations where in PvP every single damage counts. It doesn't matter because it might kill someone versus not killing them. And given that a lot of people are going to be fighting the Wither with Smite 5 on, where again, 1 extra damage versus a mob with 250 health really does matter. For those boss scenarios, for those PvP scenarios, and for the cool factor, I'm going to say that against all logic, the Netherite sword is one of the first things you should upgrade, despite the fact that on all paper levels it's like, I'm not so sure about this. And yeah, that's where I want to kind of leave this. Like, hey, here's the deal. Even though on an objective level, if you don't want to mine for ancient debris, if it's not fun to you, you should only upgrade things on a very selective basis, mostly things of mending, right? Because then you can keep it mended. So your armor, of course, makes the most sense there, etc., etc. If you like mining for Netherite, then you should do them all anyway. And if you don't like mining for Netherite and you don't have mending, then I'd say it really comes down to a selective scenario where you should have a set of Netherite tools, but not use them all the time. Have a Netherite sword, but save it for your boss battles with the Wither, where every damage counts. Save it for your attack battles with friends, and the same can go for everything else right here. Upgrade them when you want to, but bear in mind that unless you have mending on them, unless those things will last forever, the amount of time it takes you to get them might not be worth it in the end if you have an unlimited number of diamond pickaxes, but not an unlimited amount of time to mine for Netherite. And that's the point I was trying to raise with today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope this made you, I hope you enjoy, I hope this learned you some things about Minecraft, because that's definitely how you say that. But no, I really do hope this video was one that was useful for you, because on this channel we try to talk about the actual stats of things in Minecraft, talk about the actual numbers behind things, because the feeling is always going to be upgrade to Netherite, but you don't need to upgrade to it if you don't want to, and that's really nice in my opinion. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you will enjoy it. Also, wait, here's a great example. The sharpness 5 thing also means you can one-hit kill a zombie pigman or a skeleton. if you critical hit them versus 2 hits with a thing, it's a 100% increase. So yeah, there's a lot of weird edge cases that make me recommend this, and there's a lot of weird edge cases with things that make it worthwhile. Just bear in mind that if you do upgrade other things, you're doing so based on feelings, and that's fine. Feelings are important, but you know what doesn't care about feelings? This zombie pigman right here. Also, me. Unless you subscribe with notifications turned on, because YouTubers ask that at the end of videos. Not for fun. We do it because, yeah, most people who watch videos are not subscribed, and subscribing is a way to take YouTube's homepage into your own hands. You can decide what comes to you by subscribing and hopefully seeing more of it on your homepage, and I hope that includes me, of course, for obvious reasons. But if you don't hope that includes me, then goodbye anyway. Bonus fun fact at the end of the video right here. So obviously sand and gravel are both gravity affected. They need to have blocks below them or they will fall, and lanterns need to have blocks above them or they will also fall. And although this doesn't make any sense, you can theoretically have them both together just like this. It's ridiculous to look at, but it's an example of the universe finding equilibrium. It doesn't make sense for you or I, but it is a perfect balance, and balance can be found in many ways in the world. Just remember that like, yeah, there are many ways you can balance things. Applies to Minecraft, applies to lanterns and sand, and also applies hopefully to you. Thank you for watching this video all the way through. I hope you have a nice day.